Get ready for dictation, please. 5 seconds. Start. Sir, I have carefully heard the submissions that have been made to the House by my honourable friend. I thought that he would make a long speech, but he kept on elaborating only 2 points, namely that in the first place the ordinance should not have been issued, and secondly the Press Council was doing good work. Honourable members of this House are well aware that in this very House, when the Press Council Act came for amendment a few months back, there was a severe criticism of the working of the Press Council from all sections of this House. Apart from that, the opinion in the press circles has been almost unanimous that this Press Council has not been able to discharge the functions for which it was conceived. I will, in a short way, recall the history of the events by which this Press Council came into existence. A bill was passed into an act by this House which was called the Press Objectionable Matter Act, and during the currency of this act the second Press Commission met, and after considering various things expressed the hope that probably by the establishment of the Press Council this kind of act would become unnecessary. They did not question the necessity of the act. They did not also disputed the reasons why that act was brought into being, but they expressed the hope that self-regulation would probably be a better way of attempting to achieve the aims which that act sought to achieve. Therefore, while the Press Commission's report was considered by the government, two main considerations were pronounced, and they were firstly that the Press Council that was going to be set up would be able to achieve a kind of consensus among the pressmen, particularly for the journalists, and secondly that they would be able to pile up a voluminous case law which would act as a guidance to various sections of the press, so that all the unhealthy tendencies that were noticed right from the start of our independence, when communal and provocative writings which went directly against the spirit of the democracy were coming forth and were being encouraged by various vested interests, could be controlled. It is a well-known fact, and it does not require reiteration of any kind, that the code of conduct was not evolved. A code of conduct for the pressmen has nothing to do with and cannot even remotely be compared with codifying the privileges of this honorable House. They are completely two different things. The privileges of this House may be codified, may not be codified, but the privileges are well known, and if they have not been codified in the wisdom of the House, it is merely because we do not want to restrict or bind the privileges of this honorable House and its members in a narrow circle, and therefore I think the House has wisely decided not to codify its privileges and leave the matter open for decision from time to time with regard to various requirements. But in the case of the All India Newspaper Editors Conference has been able to suggest a code of conduct, and recently eminent editors of India have also suggested a code of conduct. Government is not going to suggest a code of conduct for them, because it is not the responsibility of the government to do so, but the editors and the leading journalists of the country themselves have considered and suggested it, and if they could do it, it does not stand to reason why the Press Council could not do it. The only inference that one can draw is that the Press Council was either not serious about its character or did not attach any importance to the code of conduct which they were supposed to draw up. This code of conduct, which has been drawn up by the eminent Central Committee of Editors, has been considered by the All India Editors Conference recently, and they have made certain suggestions, and I am sure that the editors on their own initiative will be able to evolve a code of conduct which will be considered by the House at the appropriate time. We shall be able to proceed on the basis provided by law to see that this code of ethics can be given the force of law. But this is a matter which the Honorable House will have to consider in future. Since the Press Council was not able to do it in 11 years of its existence, we regarded it, and I am sure the overwhelming majority of this House will regard it as an utter failure of the Press Council to do it. It did not hold out any hope that even in future they would be able to do that. As the Honorable Member himself had mentioned, there have been very many cases of relatively minor importance which were taken up by the Press Council.